Welcome back, traders. How are we doing? We had an absolutely crazy day at work, but we are tuning in today with one video. I'm going to be going over every single stock that we go over. So we're going to be going over GameStop, Nio, AMC, all in the same video. I'm going to give you the weekly closes as well as what it looks like going into the next week, right? And then some news on monetary policy, which is exciting. So God bless, guys. Welcome in. Peep the hat. It's be nice. Be nice. We are a good positivity movement. But jumping into Nio here, we have still yet to see a significant cross on the 4-hour chart. This is something that we were covering because it is very few and far between when you have all three indicators, the 9 EMA, the 50 EMA, and the 200 all pinched right on top of each other. And you can see that you have that here as well as a shoulder, head, right shoulder setup. So what I'm expecting for you to do is I'm expecting for this 9 to, and you can see just how close it is. It's by a sliver, cross above the 50, and for that momentum to allow the 50 to cross above the 200. And what will happen is that swing up is going to take pretty much every single indicator crossing above each other on the 4-hour chart, which is a bullish short-term time frame for this to occur, and then for you to see this inverse head and shoulders breakout. So the top, bottom to the top, make it drop. That breakout takes you to approximately 817, which is another relative high in this stretch of price action. So very exciting stuff. If you can do that next week, guys, you're going to close above the golden, the one, the only 771. And that's what we're talking about, right? We are trying to close above 771. On the daily time frame, let's just take a peek at that. You create a bullish spitting top candle as this just continues to look like a beautiful shaping, not just a broadening, what is it called? Falling broadening wedge, but also an inverse head and shoulders, which two bullish reversal patterns in one time frame. I like that as technical confluence, right? So what we need is the daily time frame, and you're starting to see it just a little bit. This bearish momentum is weakening, and you need this to curl up and get a daily MACD cross. When you see that, you should see a nice pop in volume to go alongside of it. Your weekly close on Nio stock, a good weekly close because you had a bearish start to the week. We all know that, right? And so often when this bearish start to the week happens, you have a leveling out, right? And that's exactly what happened, right? You closed with a bullish inverted hammer. So that's a hammer candle, right? This is a bullish inverted hammer stick candle. Let's just look for one for reference on Nio stock price. That's an example as well. A little bit longer of a wick in that. But, I mean, you can see you went from 4 up to 550. So that's just one example of how these can play out. That's another example. Short-term downside. That's another example. You went from 7 all the way up to 950. So pretty much the exact same situation we're in right now, right? But you close the week with a bullish candlestick pattern, the inverted hammer. So very, very nice to see there. The monthly close is almost here, guys, and we are closing with a potential hanging man or just a bearish sideways price action candle. Nothing of significant bearishness. In fact, you look at the 3 volume bars ahead of you, 1, 2, 3. And I think this is a good moment to reflect as Neo Bears are starting to step into the stock in the comment section. I think it's absolutely hilarious because this stock is very bullish. Everyone can see it, and the long-term chart screams it from the hills. So if you're bearish on this stock, man, I mean, maybe down to 5, maybe down to 4. But if you're long-term bearish on this setup here, you're going to get cooked, man. I think that's what it comes down to. Bears are going to be cooked as they get into the denial phase of this markup because it's very easy to deny a 5-year-long consolidation pattern, but that's exactly what you see here on Nio stock. So beautiful stuff. That's Nio stock. Let's keep it moving and grooving, y'all. We got GameStop next. And GameStop crossed above its 4-hour 50-day EMA. And what you did today was you perfectly retested it with a rebound to the 50-day EMA. Now you're staying green on the MACD, which is a overall bullish thing. But what I anticipate you'll do here is trade and consolidate, maybe form some kind of flag here, right? Maybe something like that, right? You consolidate, pop into the 200 at 24 next week on Monday. That is what I anticipate, or at least, right? At least at the bare minimum on GME, hold this local uptrend. Even if you consolidate all the way into it, hold this uptrend, and I think your bottom is in, which is a beautiful thing. On the daily time frame, you get ever so closer, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, you get ever so closer to getting a MACD cross on the daily time frame. Now, when the last time that we saw this, you saw it right here. You did see a temporary mark down, but overall typically leads to these broader moves in GameStop's price. You saw a green MACD cross here. At 28, you went up to 37. After hours trading, it was 38. And you can see, typically, it's a good thing. I mean, it's like 70 to 30%, if not more, that it is a good thing. So what we're targeting on GameStop stock is we're looking for these gaps to fill. If you get this gap fill at $28 and you get above $28, ladies and gentlemen, I think that is where it really gets balls to butt. Say it again. I think that's where it starts to get loco, because 28 on GME, in case you guys are unaware, is GME's all-time point of control. And what that means is the most volume has been traded at $28 on this stock. So it's going to be fascinating to see. You've rejected it one time. Can you break it this time? Because if you break above the point of control on GameStop, in case you guys are wondering where to find that, it's the VRVP indicator. I'm not going to pull it up right now because we're going fast, right? We're going fast. We're covering TA. But if you're able to break that this time, I anticipate that you should go all the way, fill the gap at 30, and then hopefully see that seventh touch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, seventh touch of this rising resistance on GameStop stock. So that is what we're hoping for on GME. Let's look at the weekly time frame. Let's see how you closed on the weekly candlestick. And boy, is it a beautiful one. And I think we can outline this better on Webull, because this has been part of our weekly thesis on GameStop. I love to trade in the weekly, and you did a couple things this week, right? You wicked perfectly off of the 200-day EMA. Now, that is significant because not only have you established this as strong support, like I said you would, but you also bounced off of the 200-day EMA. You withheld and stopped us from crossing down on the weekly MACD. There's a lot to love about this bounce right here on GameStop. And it came at a price, right? There's a reason that risk-on assets are all finding that same liquidity bounce, and it is because rates are most likely to be cut next week. This all coming on the back of the Fed's good rate or good inflation news. Although it is higher, it's like 0.1% higher, it is cooler than expected, and that is a bullish thing. So you can see someone made that. That's pretty hilarious. But is a bullish thing overall for the markets that inflation is coming down cooler than expected. It allows Jerome Powell to focus on the labor market, where a lot of attention is needed right now. So GameStop finished with a almost hammer candle with a spinning bullish top as well, and had an increase in volume. So next week is going to be pretty crucial. I think that risk on assets look nice for continuation next week. Although so many people are bearish, you see crypto completely green right now. Like, it's hard to bet against the trend because the trend is your friend. And I think those who do are going to be annihilated. I mean, just look at the weekly candle on IWM. Although I'd like to see the volume be much higher, right? Look at that hammer candle on the weekly time frame on IWM. For me, that just screams that you're going to another all-time high next week, and that is what we're here for, right? All right, let's close it out. Let's close it out with AMC. Oh no! We're going to zero. Oh God! Oh goodness! Right? Yeah, right. Although you did have a pretty crazy candle wick here, one that I was not expecting at all. What you pretty much did to a T, ladies and gentlemen, is you came. Delete all these lines so it looks much more clear. You came 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th touch of this falling wedge. And what did you do? You closed 262 and your close was 269. You closed 7 cents off of that wick on higher volume. Now, although I don't like the fact that you're going all the way into this wedge, typically when you do, they break up. It's very uncommon for something to go and see consolidation all the way in and then break down. So what we're going to watch next week for AMC and what's going to be crucial is this volume. This volume's been out of control on AMC. So I'm kind of fascinated here to see, do you see a fizzle going into this wedge and then whoop, right? Because eventually you're going to break this falling wedge. It's a matter of when, not really if in my mind. If you break down, of course, there's a possibility that you break down. Not financial advice, right? Of course there's that option. But look at how close you are now to this uptrend formed from the all-time low. I mean, you're so close. 250. So you'd be making a triple bottom or a 3 rising valleys formation, even if you went down there. So I do believe that the bottom is close to in on AMC, and that right now looks like a pretty darn good time considering IWM is looking for another all-time high next week. GameStop is primed to make its bottom. I think right now is a freaking phenomenal area to average down, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing starting Monday. So our long-term thesis on AMC is we want to see AMC move above this 50-day EMA, break this 6-month now falling wedge, and get above the 200. If you do that, you're going to see a daily golden cross for the first time since February 1st of 2021, ladies and gentlemen. And boy, will that be a tremendous accomplishment. You look at what you did last time. You got the golden cross, you squeezed, you came back to retest it, and then you squeezed again. That was your all-time high run. This will be the most historic landmark on this entire chart if you are able to pull that off. And I think that the stars will align. I don't know if they have yet, but I do believe with monetary policy, rates potentially coming down, deals being dug in with China next week, right? Rates next week. So next week is going to be a tremendous thing for the bulls and the bears to step in and take control of this market. And we'll be covering it every single day, twice a day if we can, because that's what we're here to do. So that's pretty much all I got for y'all today. God bless to each and every single one of you guys. You guys have been so freaking amazing. Love your energy. Nio very soon. Let's get that golden cross, rockets, prayers, right? I mean, y'all have been the absolute bedrock in my life right now. So make sure to show some love in the comments. I appreciate each and every single one of you guys. Subscribe if you found value, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao. Peace, guys. Woo!